Good afternoon and welcome to another Napa Institute webcast. Today we're going to be interviewing Archbishop Jose Gomez, who's the Archbishop of Los Angeles. Archbishop Gomez was born in Monterrey, Mexico, one of 5 children. He did his undergraduate studies in Mexico and his graduate studies in theology, where he earned a doctorate of theology at the University of Navarra in Spain. He was naturalized as a U.S. citizen in 1995. He served as a priest of Opus Dei in the Diocese of Galveston-Houston, then as Auxiliary Bishop of Denver, Archbishop of San Antonio, and for the past 9 years as Archbishop of Los Angeles, where he served for a year before then as coadjutor Archbishop. He is a former president of the National Association of Hispanic Priests and a co-founder of the Catholic Association of Latino Leaders, and he currently serves as the president of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. Archbishops, thanks very much for taking the time to be with us today.
You're welcome. Happy to be with you and with everybody.
Great. Archbishop, Los Angeles is the largest diocese in the United States, and you've been its archbishop for almost a decade now. What do you rank as the hardest and the most gratifying things that you've had to deal with in the time that you've been Archbishop of Los Angeles?
It's a beautiful archdiocese. As you said, it's the largest archdiocese in the country, but I think that one of the most beautiful things is the diversity of the people in Los Angeles. We have the celebration of Mass, I think, in 42 languages in the archdiocese. So really there are people from all over the world. And to see their faith and their enthusiasm in coming to church and be part of the ministries of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles in the parishes and in all the other ministries is just a beautiful reality. We have many other things, but that's probably the most striking thing when you come to Los Angeles. You know, honestly, you don't think of Los Angeles as a place of people with faith,
Mm-hmm.
but it is just a beautiful reality.
Yeah. Archbishop, what do you think you brought to the task? I mean, you're the first Hispanic Archbishop of Los Angeles.
Well, obviously, I think the participation of the Hispanics in the life of the church is essential for the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. I think of the 5 million Catholics in the Archdiocese, probably the statistics say that probably close to 70% are of Hispanic origin.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I think it was a blessing for me, and I hope that the people, the Latinos in the Archdiocese, also see the importance of their faith and their participation in the church at this time.
Now, you served in Los Angeles, but before that, you were in Galveston, Houston, you were in Denver, and then you were in San Antonio, all very different pastoral terrains. I mean, how would you compare the experiences from the ones that you're having there in Los Angeles now?
Well, I guess just the size of the archdiocese is the first thing that calls your attention, and it's totally different in that sense. Also the diversity, because in some of the other places there is some diversity, but not as striking as the one in Los Angeles. And then also I think just the enthusiasm of the people coming to church. Mm-hmm. I think it is just beautiful. I mean, the parishes are packed with people, so I think there's an important difference. And obviously, another thing that is part of what happens in Los Angeles is that the church in Los Angeles is making an influence in the whole country. Mm-hmm. We had the beautiful reality of the canonization of Junipero Serra, and I think there was a lot of excitement at that time for the archdiocese and for the people in California. We also have Catholic schools that are just amazing in California, especially in the archdiocese. We have, I think it's the largest now in the country Catholic school system, with more than 70,000 kids in Catholic schools.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You became president of the U.S. Catholic Conference at a time that turned into a very tumultuous one for the country. Obviously, I mean, COVID has had a huge impact on nation and on the church. How is Los Angeles handled it? I mean, how has the church in Los Angeles dealt with just the physical impact of COVID?
It's been obviously a very challenging time for all of us, as it has been in the whole country. But I think the Archdiocese has reacted in a very positive way. Most of the parishes were able to at least continue the celebration of Mass through the internet, streaming, so we are trying to continue the relationship, obviously, with all the parishioners in every parish in the Archdiocese. In Catholic schools, you know, we are saying here in Los Angeles, Fran, that we closed the buildings, but we didn't close parishes and schools.
Good, yeah.
Because our parishes are open through the internet, and Catholic schools move from the physical presence of the children to the virtual presence. In 72 hours, we had most of the Catholic schools in the Archdiocese.
That's amazing. That's just absolutely amazing.
Doing education, virtual education. So.
Yeah. Now, Archbishop, COVID isn't the only problem for the first 6 months. I mean, the George Floyd killing in Minnesota really created an immense amount of racial tension. Now, you got a diocese, as you indicated a moment ago, that has a great deal of ethnic and religious and racial diversity. How are you handling that issue in Los Angeles, and what kind of resources do you bring to the issue?
Well, we have a really good, solid ethnic ministry office in the Archdiocese, and through them we are trying to be present to each one of the different ethnic groups, and we are reaching out to people. We just, together with the bishops of California, we put together a virtual Stations of the Cross. Mm-hmm. We had the beginning of the Stations of the Cross here in the Archdiocese together, and at the same time, then we had the final prayers for that. And we did it at St. Odilia's Parish. St. Odilia's was the first parish in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. I think it was in the 1930s, that was dedicated to African American ministry. Mm-hmm. So it was the first parish in the west of the United States that was dedicated to that. So for us, it was a moment of, recognizing the presence of the African Americans in the west of the United States, and addressing this sad evil of racism in our society. I think obviously we need to understand that we all are children of God, sons and daughters of God, and we are equal in every way that we can talk about. So in the Archdiocese, we are trying to do that, and also we are organizing a prayer service, ecumenical interfaith prayer service at the end of the month, just to be able to pray for our country to be able to address this situation.
Archbishop, you grew up in Mexico, but naturalized in the United States in 1995. I mean, you've seen the country from the outside and also from the inside in a variety of environments. How has the country changed over the arc of your career? I mean, what do you see as the major differences between the country that you saw as a child in Mexico and the country that you're dealing with today as a major, you're a major public figure, a major leader in the United States now as Archbishop of Los Angeles? I mean, what are your impressions?
Well, I mean, the first thing that I can talk about is the presence of the Latinos in the United States. As you probably know, more than 50% of Catholics under 18 are of Latino origin. Mm-hmm. So when I was growing up, it was a different reality. I remember coming with my family, because my mother grew up in San Antonio, Texas, so we have family there. So coming with my family, and there was a different atmosphere of coming from another country to the United States at that time. Now I think the presence of the Latinos is a great blessing for the church in the United States. That's the first thing. The other reality that I see is that obviously the influence of the church is so important now, because at that time the United States was basically a Christian country. Now we're kind of moving to a secular country. So I think obviously the amazing presence of the church in the United States should be an instrument of helping people to understand the beauty of God's plan for society and for the human person especially. So I think those are two things that are really have called my attention. You know, the presence of the Latinos and also the reality of being now in a secular society and how important it is for us to really share, you know, as Pope Francis says, become missionary disciples, share our faith in a simple way, but do it. So it's so important for us.
Yeah, Archbishop, this could be a premature question because it's very early, but have you given any thought to what the Bostock and Harris Funeral Homes Supreme Court decisions will do to the church in the United States?
I mean, it's a very challenging reality now. As I was saying, you know, it's more clear now that we live in a secular society, and I think we have to go back in a simple way to the plan of God for society. We welcome everybody, and we understand the reality of people in different situations, but at the same time, we need to be faithful to God's plan for creation and creating a man and a woman. So I think it is a big challenge for society. It's a big challenge for the church, and at the same time, as it is important for all of us, is to understand that we are all children of God. So it is. I think it's going to be a big challenge.
Yes, Archbishop, as anyone who understands the structure of the church in this country knows, every bishop is basically knows his own people best. And so as president of the conference, you have kind of a general overview of the church rather than any authority among, you know, in the local dioceses beyond your own. But what do you think the strengths are of the church right now, and what are the challenges that she faces? I mean, when you go to Washington and sit as the president of the U.S. Bishops' Conference, I mean, what do you see as the major problems, and what do you see as the major opportunities and strengths in the church in the United States?
That's a good question. I just started being the president in November, so I guess we had the pandemic, so we haven't had too many in-presence meetings. But no. I think it is obvious that one of the biggest challenges is the education of Catholics in the teachings of the church. I think what we all, I mean, we all learn a lot from our parents, and also in Catholic schools, on Catholic education in the parishes. Now it's becoming more and more challenging to be able to share those beautiful teachings to every Catholic. So I think that's probably the greatest challenge that we have in the church, kind of communicate. You know, I've been talking a lot, as you know, that for many years about the evangelization of the digital continent. You know, because most young people now are in the internet all the time. So somehow we need to be able to use those means to be able to be present to people. So I think that's the biggest challenge, and the numbers of people coming to the reception of the sacraments, baptism, confirmation, are diminishing in the church in the United States. That's my perception. At least what's happening in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. So I think that's the main thing. The biggest challenge, I think, besides that, is that we need to, how can I say it, that we need to work together. Sometimes we fall into the temptation of thinking I'm this way or the other person is the other way, and I think we need to find a way to work together.
That's very difficult right now because the environment is so toxic politically. I mean, on both sides of the divide. How do you keep your sanity? I mean, I mean, you're Archbishop of the largest diocese in the country, and you're president of the U.S. Bishops' Conference, and I'm sure you just love going to one more meeting. How do you manage to have some sort of interior tranquility?
No, I'm very grateful to my brother bishops because they entrusted me with the presidency of the conference, but I guess they think that I have nothing to do.
Yeah.
No, it's a great blessing for me. So what do? I think for me, the most important thing is my prayer life. So I try to make sure that I find the time to spend time in a personal prayer. And also another essential thing for me is the daily celebration of Holy Mass. You know, it's something that it's been important for me since I was a teenager, when I discovered that it was possible to go to daily Mass, and following the example of my father. And since then, the center of my life, honestly, is the daily celebration of Mass. And that gives me a lot of peace and a lot of strength to be able to try to help people in my ministry.
You really have an extraordinary cathedral. I mean, from the outside, it's not the first design that one would expect, but on the inside, it's really, I remember when we came to your ordination, Sue Ann and I came to your ordination, we were just absolutely struck by how beautiful it is. It's an extraordinary space.
It is beautiful, and it's a really beautiful liturgical space. And then the centrality of the Eucharist, you know, that everybody can actively participate on that. And then the tapestries.
Oh, the tapestries are
communions of the saints are just beautiful.
Unbelievable. They're really quite extraordinary.
Actually, these days, because there was nobody here, because the staying home order, I had time to go and walk around the cathedral. It's beautiful. I mean, they did a wonderful job. So.
Archbishop, how are you doing in terms of your priestly vocations? I mean, you've got so many different ethnic groups. How do you recruit from these different ethnic groups and then integrate them into one presbyterate? I presume that's a pretty important task that you've got.
Absolutely. We have a really good vocations ministry in the Archdiocese, and besides the central office, we have a priest that are in charge in each one of the 5 regions of the Archdiocese. So we have a good number. I think we have close to 90 seminarians right now for the Archdiocese. Yeah, I mean, it's probably 30% Hispanic, 30% Asians, and 30% Anglo-Saxon. So I think it is a good balance. We got a really good formation team at the seminary.
That's terrific.
I think it's a priority for me, obviously, and I think we are doing well. And that's one of the things that is really beautiful in the Archdiocese is the participation of the young people in youth ministry. So that's another one of my priorities. So I think vocations is going well, and little by little we're making sure that every parish has a strong youth ministry.
I remember, Archbishop, when you founded the Catholic Association of Latino Leaders, and I'm wondering what kind of similar leadership organizations have you founded? Or I guess what the key question I'm asking is, how do you encourage lay leadership in the diocese? I mean, the priesthood is one very important element, lay people are another.
Right. I mean, I think the Catholic Association of Latino Leaders has been a wonderful organization to help Latinos to be more engaged in the life of the church. Then, as you know, I was part of the National Association of Hispanic Priests.
Right.
There was, I think, the support that the priests need is essential for their own ministry. And then we have Endow, that it was started in Denver for the especially the help women to also grow in their participation in the life of the church.
My understanding is that they've actually done very well in Los Angeles. I mean, it's really taken off. This organization has really taken off since it focused on the Los Angeles area.
Yeah, and there, so I think that's given my background. I think for me, it's essential that the lay faithful charge in a good sense of that, and be more active in the life of the church. Because at the end, the church happens in the parishes. So with the lay faithful, I think it is important for all of us in the church to find the way that get the message across that really the lay faithful are essential, and they are the church, and they have to actively participate.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed, Archbishop, here in Philadelphia during the COVID lockdown was the effective priestly leadership and the integration with lay people in that respect. Our parish, for example, I think we expected to lose quite a lot of money during the lockdown because people couldn't go to church, basically. Exactly the opposite happened. We actually made more. And the reason it happened was because we had a terrific pastor. I mean, a pastor who encouraged people, gave them a reason for hope. And that integration of lay and priestly fraternity really, in our parish, it really worked. And I presume you've had similar experiences in Los Angeles.
Absolutely, yeah. We have parishes that I think most of the parishes have like at least 50% of the income coming from the donations for the collections, and also some that I have not just 100%, but more than that.
Yeah, that was our experience.
I think that's important for the pastors to, to see the how important it is for them to give priority to the lay faithful, and that they feel that they are the essential part of the life of the church.
Yeah. Well, also what you just said a few moments ago about the importance of youth ministry, I think people respond when they're given a reason to believe they have a future. You've always been very good at creating that, and I think that's the key to a good pastor is the ability to convince people that investing their time and their lives and their resources in supporting their parish is going to be rewarding for them on some level. When that happens, it really does. It works out very well, I think.
Absolutely. We have Youth Day at the Religious Education Congress. We get about 15,000 kids every year. We started another youth ministry event at the City of Saints that happens at
that's
UCLA. So it's good. And then we have another one that's Christian Service for Life, also for young people that is at USC. So we gotta be on both sides.
I've got just a couple of questions, and then I know you're busy, and I'll let you go. You've been a supporter of the Napa Institute from the very beginning, and I'm wondering, what do you see what do you see as the primary value that the Napa Institute brings to the life of the church and nationally, and what would you hope it accomplishes in the future?
I think as we probably remember, when the Napa Institute started, one of the things that we wanted to do is to think of the next America. So I think that was the purpose of preparing people for being active lay people in the life of the church in the future. So I think at the end, that's what this for me is essential for the Napa Conference and the Napa Institute, to really empower the lay faithful intellectually and also in their apostolic call, because I think it's essential for the future of the church in our country.
One more question. What gives you hope? I mean, you're under a lot. You have a demanding life. I mean, how do you? I've already asked how you keep your sanity. You answered that very well, by the way. How do you? What gives you hope for the future?
I just in general, I think the church in the United States is so important for the universal church. So, and I see how vibrant it is in the parishes, in the schools, and also my biggest joy is to see that the young people are getting involved in the life of the church. So I have a lot of hope. I think there are a lot of wonderful things happening. We are going through challenging times in every aspect of our lives, and even in the church, where I think the future is bright. Obviously, because we have God on our side, that helps a lot. But I see how people are enthusiastic about what the church is about and the plan of God for society. So I see it in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. You know, when I first came, I thought this is a huge archdiocese. What am I going to do there? And then you come and see how vibrant people are in the Archdiocese practicing their faith. It has given me a lot of hope.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Archbishop. It's wonderful seeing you again. And
you too.
Thanks to you, and thanks to Father Medina for helping to set this up.
Absolutely. Great to see you, and I hope to see you soon.
You bet. God bless you. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Bye now.